guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first video for the YouTube Artist Collective, and I'm super excited to share it with you, so I hope that you guys like it. Before I get too into the video, I do want to apologize for some quality issues with this video. I recorded it while I was actually live streaming for the first time, and so I had a different setup than I normally do, which caused some shaking in the camera that I didn't realize was happening until I was editing the video. So that was really frustrating, and I do apologize for that. It also caused some lighting issues, so my bad, you guys. It'll be better next time, I promise. But you can see the art that I make, and that is the important thing, right? Except for a little bit near the end where the camera's focused on the wrong thing. But it's fine, we're all gonna ignore all that, it's fine. I'm not technology driven, we all know that. This is my first video with the YouTube Artist Collective. Which is this really cool collective with a bunch of amazing YouTube artists in it, and every month the public votes on a theme and we all make videos and like artwork that are surrounded based on that theme, and they're like sold and like auctioned off, and it's really cool, and I'm super excited to be part of it. I was invited to join earlier last month or this month, I don't know, like March, and this is my first video. So the theme that was voted on was Beautiful Nightmare, which kind of gave me a pause when I first heard it, because I was like, okay, Beautiful Nightmare. I draw really like cute things all the time. I don't draw nightmare things. So I kind of thought about it for a little bit, and I decided to go with this, which is the image that I created. And you can see I started out with the drawing and inking already done, and this video is just the painting portion of it. And I'll talk about kind of my idea and the picture, and then I'll kind of go more into the painting process and all that. So the idea that I ended up having was basically about mental illness, because you can think, like, you can look at somebody and they can look so beautiful and so put together and like perfect on the outside, but you really have no idea what's going on inside their head, or what they're struggling with, or what their personal nightmare is. And as somebody that has suffered from mental illness, and somebody that does suffer from mental illness, I think it's really important to raise awareness for it, and that people know that it's okay to talk about, and that it's just something, it's just part of what makes you you, and it doesn't need to be this thing that is like stigmatized. So I had that idea, and that's the idea that I went with. And I had the idea of the silhouette of a girl, and inside you see her like kind of, she's like drowning and like tied in these like seaweeds, but she's still reaching up and trying to like get away and like continuously fighting. So it's this struggle, but she's like beautiful on the outside, and the whole thing is like this beautiful sort of internal nightmare. So yeah, that is kind of my concept. It was a little bit, I don't know, deeper, I guess, than my usual stuff, but it was really fun to work on, and it was nice to work on a little bit more of a personal piece. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. So in terms of actual technique of the piece, this is all done in watercolor, and I used some color pencil towards the end. And this is actually a very large scale piece. It's larger than I usually work, which is one of the reasons that it's not fully in frame on camera. There was no way that I could really get it fully in frame. I had a really hard time with the equipment that I have. It's an 11 by 17 inch piece, and it's done on the Fabriano Artistico paper. Mine is the 50% cotton one. And it's rough grain, and I sketched it out in pencil, and then did a bunch of sketching on like some big random paper that I had lying about, and then transferred it to the watercolor paper, and I inked it using a dip pen, and I used my Winsor & Newton Black India ink, which is my favorite ink for inking with a dip pen. It's super waterproof, and it like doesn't budge, it doesn't go anywhere. It's a really great ink. And I only inked the person. I didn't actually put any outlines around the silhouette. For the silhouette, I used masking fluid, and I used the Liquid Frisket white mask, I think it's called, I don't know, something like that, to mask out the outline. And then you can see later on, I added masking tape all the way around it to protect the background even more, because I was kind of getting drippy and like throwing paint around, and it was getting on the background. So that's kind of how I did that. And then I just went in and I did the background with like a bunch of washes, and I really wanted it to be kind of free flowing. I kind of focused more purple towards the top and more greens towards the bottom. And so now, as you can see, I'm focusing primarily on the figure. So I did the figure the same way that I do most of my paintings. I started out with a base of purples and blues to establish the shadows, and then I went over that with my colors and my skin tones to add more detail and depth to the piece. So not a whole lot to talk about in terms of that. It was pretty standard in terms of the way that I do my paintings. So this is the area where I had the most frustration in terms of the lighting setup. I didn't realize, but I think I had my white balance set to auto instead of like locked, so it kept constantly readjusting and trying to like readjust the white balance, so it kept getting really, really, really yellow. And I did my best to correct that in after editing, but there was really only so much that I could do, so that was really frustrating because I don't know, there's only so much that you can do with the time that you have, and I don't know, it's the only footage I have, so I'm kind of sad about that, but hopefully it's not too distracting for you guys, and hopefully the bumping about isn't too distracting either. Again, I do apologize for that. More about this painting, let's see. I used a bunch of different paints in this painting. I used 3 different types of paints. I used the Yarka St. Petersburg White Night paints primarily for the background just because I have full pans of those. So yeah, because I have full pans, I have the most paint of those, so it made sense to use them for the most paint intensive thing. And then for the rest of the piece, I used my Schmincke paints and my Dan Smith paints. My Schmincke paints I prefer to use for more delicate areas such as the skin tones. They are easier to layer up and build more delicate tones, whereas the Dan Smith paints, I don't want to say they're more pigmented, but their pigments seem stronger, if that makes sense. So sometimes I prefer the Schmincke just because it's easier to build up in lots of subtle layers and you don't get too pigmented with them. Like, it's a positive, I guess. Like, they are very pigmented. They're both very pigmented paints. They're just different. I think the Schmincke are more natural in their color selection and just easier to work with in terms of building things up. And then the Dan Smith paints I used the Dan Smith paints a lot in the darker colors, especially in the greens. I love my Schmincke set, but the green selection that comes in it, it's pretty good, but they don't have as many dark greens, whereas my Dan Smith set has some really, really nice dark greens, especially the undersea green is probably one of my favorite paint colors of all time. So I used those a lot when I was working on the seaweed. So I used 3 different types of paints. And then the brushes that I used, I don't remember the name of them right now. I think they're called like Zen or Zer or Ver or something weird. But I'll post a link to them down below if I can find a link. But I got them for Christmas from my mom, and these are like my favorite paintbrushes I have ever used. They are so good. The ones I got are, I believe, a synthetic. I don't know if they're either a synthetic sable blend or if they're just a synthetic that's made to imitate sable, but they're really, really fantastic brushes. I love the handle. It's got a good weight in your hand, and I love the length of the handle too. It's not too long. I love everything about them. They're the favorite brushes I've ever used. So I highly recommend them, and they're very affordable as well. So yeah, everything's just gone yellow again, and before it was really blue, and it's really frustrating. Watching it back right now is really frustrating for me. I tried my best to correct it, but I'm sorry, guys. I won't talk about that anymore. What else? I did this during a live stream, which again is kind of why there are some quality issues here, but the live stream itself was so much fun. It was my first live stream I have ever done, and it was so much fun. So if you were at my live stream, thank you so much for coming out. It was seriously amazing, and I had such an amazing time, and I'm so thankful that all of you came out to the live stream. Like, it was so much fun. We did Disney sing-alongs, and it was just really goofy, and everyone was so nice, and I streamed for 11 hours, give or take. So it was pretty intense for my first stream, but it went really successfully, and I really hope that I can stream again soon. I need to edit my setup a little bit because I'd like to be able to stream when I'm working on my videos, but I don't want my video quality to suffer for the live stream, and I kind of feel like my video quality did suffer for the live stream in this particular case, so that's something that I'll need to work on, figure out a better solution in that area, but it was definitely a lot of fun. I don't really have too much else to say about this other than I am super excited to be part of the YouTube Artist Collective. I'm really so thankful that they asked me to join, and I don't know, it's been really fun so far, and this was a really cool challenge to do. Just something very different than I ever would have painted before, and it's probably one of my favorite pieces that I've done in a long time. So I really hope that you guys like this, and I hope that you like the message. And you know, if you have mental illnesses, please remember, like, you're not alone, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and like, it's just part of what makes you you, and you're a beautiful person inside and out. And you know, you aren't defined by the things that happen in your brain. That's how I try to think of it. So I hope that you guys liked this video. I hope you like this painting. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please go check out all of the other amazing artists that are in the YouTube Artist Collective. They're all so talented, and I am so lucky to be working alongside them in this collaboration. So yeah, okay, I will leave you to the music and the rest of this painting. That's it. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye!